Now it's time for Lefties Losing It, and the mainstream leftist media has hit rock bottom and started digging. Their determination to smear the Trump administration has seen news anchors behave like this. Here's CNN's Jake Tapper.
So you have an issue with the First Amendment. You don't think that people should be exercising their First Amendment rights to speak about policies that they don't like. You have a more of a problem with that than you have with people killing American citizens. Did I get that right?
Jake, do you actually think you have a First Amendment right to blow a whistle in the ear of law enforcement, to disobey a lawful command from law enforcement, to interfere with a law enforcement investigation, to carry a gun without a proper ID or license as is required under Minnesota law, and then to violently resist arrest? You think you have a First Amendment right to do all that, Jake?
So you think that he should have been killed? It was all his fault?
That was Jake Tapper being schooled by former Trump official Chad Mizell. Witness how he pushes back against conservatives making rational, factual points. Compare that to how he behaves with the left, like this guy.
I understand that, but they take people to Fort Snelling here, which literally was built as a concentration camp, and Alligator Alcatraz, which I think we can all agree is a concentration camp. Not saying they're Dachau, I'm not saying they're putting people in ovens yet, but these are concentration camps.
Okay.
I don't need to argue with you about that.
Just disgraceful stuff from CNN and Russian collusion hoaxer Jake Tapper. But he is not alone at being a lefty losing it on that station. Here is another anchor, Abby Phillip. Let's see how consistent she is. This is her after Ilhan Omar was sprayed by a mystery liquid, compared to how she reacted when Donald Trump was almost assassinated.
Ilhan Omar in particular has been the center, and you heard it there from the president, the center of a lot of awful attacks. He called her garbage. Donald Trump is actually responsible for the vitriol. So is there going to be any acknowledgement of that? Should there be? It's not about the politics of the individual. I mean, look at these people. The thing that they have in common is their complete lack of mental stability. Why is that not the conversation? Why are we in this place of who's to blame? Is it the Democrats or the Republicans? The Republicans aren't trying to assassinate the Democrats. And a lot of talk of they. And when it's not a they, it's just a person. It's an individual.
And staying with CNN, they're now giving a platform to people too crazy for MSNBC, including this ignorant nincompoop who seems to think it was a right-winger who murdered Charlie Kirk.
Also not forget, Charlie Kirk was murdered. The president...
Not by a left-wing extremist. That person espoused very right-wing extremists.
Look, if you look at the targets, if you look at people in office, there's...
The right attacks the right.
People...
You know, that's why Jimmy Kimmel's lies about Charlie's murderer matter, because simpletons like Tiffany Cross heard it and believed it, and to this day continue to repeat it. And Tiffany Cross has also been on CNN inciting violence against ICE agents by claiming they are militia and white supremacists.
Did you just say ICE officers are militia?
Yes, have you not been paying attention?
Yeah, I
they
think
certainly
you're
mirror
stretching
the
it a little
Gestapo.
bit. You know, that's very...
I don't think I'm stretching anything. I think we have seen, what we have not seen, what we have not seen are gang members committing violence. What we have seen are ICE agents kill people.
But Tiffany, you're saying that based, you're just making a supposition here. There's no concrete evidence.
You got to be careful. That's way
there was some supports. There
was some serving the government.
We have seen white supremacist tattoos
risking their lives, serving the government.
Risking their lives, they're taking lives.
You're calling them Proud Boy militia. Did you say that?
Well, I did not call them Proud Boy militia, but I think it's disgraceful that you're sitting here. I'm actually not. But I think that there are white supremacist tattoos on their
white supremacist federal officers.
Yeah, white supremacist federal officers.
Like, where are you going with this? Why would you say that?
What does one say? Notice Abby Phillip, the host there, defending her, while Kevin O'Leary, who's a fellow panelist, had to step in to be the adult to try to inject some sort of sanity into proceedings. Now, let's come home to Melbourne, Australia, where waving the Australian flag and being proud of your country can see you attacked like this.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I just made me accosted by people like that.
Being accosted, you can read.
I can be proud of my country, okay?
Well, you shouldn't be.
Well, then why don't you go to Palestine?
Well, let's see. I don't know. Because there's genocide there that this country is
funding.
Hey, stop yelling.
Oh, this is genocide. Stop yelling. Oh, stop yelling. What about all the people that are still dying in custody? What about the fact that this country is built on stolen land? You don't give a what does that mean? You're a piece of racist. Good thing you're standing in the shade because I know that you're so white because you don't belong here. You're European. This is indigenous land. You
Unbelievable. And really, shame on the men there who stood around and listened to that unhinged diatribe and said nothing, did not step in to defend that woman. You know, where is chivalry? Where are the men these days? Now, staying in Melbourne, let's go to the Australian Open. And even a Grand Slam tournament is not safe from lefties losing it, making utter pests of themselves with questions like this to tennis star Taylor Fritz.
There's a lot happening back home in the U.S. and kind of has been for a lot of the last year. And I'm just kind of wondering how you're feeling about all of it.
I mean, I'm not sure what we're like specifically talking about, but there is a lot going on in the U.S. and I don't know. I feel like whatever I say here is gonna get put in a headline, and it's gonna get taken out of context. So I'd really rather not do something that's gonna cause a big distraction for me in the middle of the tournament.
Not a bad answer, Taylor, but would have been better to tell the activist journalist that he shouldn't be misusing his media pass at the Australian Open to push his pathetic political ideology and being a little lefty pest. Hard to take that out of context. Let's hear the same sort of question being posed to Amanda Anisimova, who tries to give an honest answer, but he doesn't like it.
I've been asking a lot of the American players just how it feels to play under the American flag right now, and I'm curious how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in America, so I'm always proud to represent my country. And yeah, a lot of us are doing really well, and it's great to see a lot of, great athletes on the women's side, on the men's side. So yeah, I feel like we're all doing a great job representing ourselves.
But the far left hack masquerading as a tennis reporter wasn't satisfied with a real answer. He wanted his anti-Trump moment. So he had another go, and Amanda here really deserves a trophy for not rolling her eyes at this clown.
Sure. Sorry, just to clarify a little, I mean, sort of in the context of the last year of everything that's been happening in the U.S., does that complicate that feeling at all?
I don't think that's relevant.
Hi, Amanda. Well played. One of the unique things about tennis is
Yes, a reporter asking a tennis question to a tennis player at a tennis tournament. How quaint. But the petulant pest was back with the same tired old line of questioning, and this time it was Madison Key's turn.
This is a pretty sensitive subject, but the U.S. is a year into the second Trump administration now, and a lot of people are suffering, and I'm wondering how you're feeling about things back home personally, and specifically what the mood is like in Florida.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I feel, I don't know, I don't like to kind of dabble too much into politics just because it's just not the space that I really want to say that much on. But yeah, I just hope that everybody can kind of at some point come together.
What the mood is like in Florida. The mood is awesome. I was there recently. Everyone's happy. Everyone's thriving. It's a red state. What the hell is that guy on about? But here's another player being asked the most ridiculous, convoluted question about immigration, ICE, US politics, and Le Tien handled this well. Note the look of disdain on his face.
It's also interesting that you're both second-gen immigrants to the US. Like, in the context of everything that's happening at the moment with Trump and ICE, like, what does your heritage mean to you, and how important are immigrants to America and American sport today?
Sorry, I don't really want to talk about that right now.
Charlie.
But there are always tennis players keen to play politics, and among them is Coco Gauff. And she was not only keen to play politics, but to play the victim.
You're usually pretty outspoken about political issues, and I'm curious how you feel about the state of the U.S. 1 year into the second Trump administration.
I mean, I think I've already stated my opinions in the past on how I feel about it. And yeah, I mean, I hope forward that we can have a lot more peace in our country. I feel a bit fatigued talking about it just because of the fact that it is hard also, I think, being a Black woman in this country and having to experience things even online and seeing your marginalized communities being affected.
Yes, very hard as a Black woman in America in 2026. Coco Gauff is the highest paid female athlete in the world right now. She reportedly earned more than $30 million last year, most of it through endorsements in racist America, where she is apparently marginalised. Give me strength. She's got so much money, she can afford to do this. Here she is a couple of days ago in Melbourne, absolutely losing it. Now, let's look at the left's idea of a peaceful protester, someone they describe as a gentle soul who was just observing and protecting people. Yeah, right.
January 13th, showing a man who appears to be Alex Preddy interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy.
Yes, the man believed to be Alex Preddy spat on law enforcement, and then as they drove away, he kicked in the taillights while screaming expletives and threats. Peacefully, of course. Let's have a look at a little more of this footage.
Federal agents were blocking a street at the corner of East 36 and Park Avenue in Minneapolis. Arrived around 10 p.m. We saw observers shouting agents as they walked back to their vehicles. When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight. An agent then got out of the vehicle, grabbed him, and pushed him to the ground. The man in our footage is wearing a similar outfit to what Preddy was wearing on the day he was killed. What appears to be a gun is also visible above his waistband.
Interesting. And somehow, despite the violent antics you just saw, the man in that video, reportedly Alex Preddy, was not arrested. Yesterday, we brought you a report from CNN who said Preddy had been injured in a tussle with federal agents a week before he was fatally shot at another violent protest.
Alex Preddy had a physical encounter with federal agents about a week before he was shot and killed by law enforcement. Sources tell CNN that Preddy broke a rib when a group of federal officers tackled him while he was protesting.
Let's bring in documentary filmmaker Ami Horowitz. Ami, it's not clear yet whether the violent interaction we just saw was the same one CNN were reporting on, where Preddy suffered a broken rib. But it's clear that these protests in Minnesota are not peaceful. They're not organic. They're very well planned and executed uprisings.
Yeah, he should not have been killed. Why shouldn't have been killed? Because he should have been in jail those 11 days before. It's amazing to me when I heard that reporting that you just had with Dana Bash, and Dana Bash started that conversation with he was protesting and they broke his ribs. No, that's not what happened. Okay, he was protesting and then kicked in the taillight, attacked a vehicle full of federal agents. So they came out and they took him down, and then his rib broke. That's the way this thing broke down. But he should have been jailed, right? That's why he should have been killed, because I don't understand how he wasn't arrested at that point. I mean, I know why, because they had so much other stuff to deal with, because these protests are going everywhere. ICE agents are being attacked everywhere. They can't be everywhere at all times, and they can't arrest every single one of these people. Otherwise, half of Minneapolis wouldn't be in jail, which, by the way, I don't think is a terrible idea, okay? No, their capacity for violence, these people on the left, has no bounds, okay? I was here last week when we reported and showed the video of how I raised money to murder ICE agents, okay? I was very clear about the use of proceeds. They were happy to give me money to kill ICE agents. This is what they want. They want blood on the streets. This is what these federal agents have to deal with on a day-to-day basis here, okay? It doesn't help when you have Democrats and the media continue to use Nazi imagery when comparing these federal agents. It's so disgusting. It's so beyond the pale. And as to your question regarding this being pre-planned, yes, it is pre-planned. When I was in Minneapolis, I saw carpools of people coming to these spots and letting people out. I saw pre-printed signs being taken off of trucks for being used. Of course, this is all pre-planned, this is all pre-funded, and when this is all over, there needs to be an investigation of how this went down, and people need to go to jail. Look, Rita, if you go, the same things happening in Minneapolis are happening all over the country at the same time. Now, you're not hearing about it in red states because this is done with no problems. The states help the U.S. government give access to criminals, and then they deport them. There aren't any problems. But this has been ginned up by these blue states to create these problems. Now, having said that, the Republicans and the president have fallen into a Democratic trap. Okay, this thing can't be, the trap can be flipped, and it should be flipped, maybe will be, but we fell into a trap when this was an 80-20 issue, Rita, right? Arresting illegal immigrants that are criminals was maybe a 90-10 issue across the country, and that was the goal, and that's what's happening in most parts of the country. But what the Democrats did was they were smart. They said, well, we're not going to help you. We're not going to give you access to these criminals. And therefore, they started arresting people who weren't criminal. And that's when the whole thing flipped. And that's why we lost. And by the way, I'm not saying that non-criminal illegals should not be deported. They should be. But when you're trying to deal with an optics issue, we're falling down because we fell into the Democratic trap set up by them beautifully. And they have flipped the script on this issue in terms of polling.
But I mean, they were always going to do that. Even when a gangbanger was deported, they were describing him as a Maryland dad and someone who shouldn't have never been detained. It is curious, though, that even in blue cities where they are resisting law enforcement, we're not seeing the scenes we're seeing in Minneapolis. We're not seeing that level of obstruction and attack. And Minneapolis is the centre of massive fraud that's been uncovered, billions of dollars, and no one's talking about that anymore. That should be a topic of discussion about who was complicit, who allowed this to happen under their noses. But everyone's focus is now on these protests and ICE trying to do their task.
Yeah, look, there's a reason why I have filmed in Minneapolis probably half a dozen times in the last 4 years because they're crazy. They are absolutely insane. It's the epicenter. Look, it's up there with Seattle and Portland. I think Seattle and Portland are the worst. Well, Minneapolis may be the worst now. When I shoot in New York or LA, I don't have security. If I go to Minneapolis, I have to have a security detail because these people are absolutely nuts. And yeah, you're right. It's a great thing to point out. We forgot about the Minneapolis fraud, which, by the way, brought down a governor. Tim Walz isn't running again on this issue. But look, I have confidence this administration can chew gum and walk at the same time. I think we're going to see prosecutions as these things settle down over both of those issues. I hope to God they will, and I'm pretty confident they will.
Now, former President Barack Obama has been busy online whipping up hysteria and moral panic about the Trump administration's deportation program. But let's not forget, he was very much in favour of such policies and passionately defended them when he was in power. In fact, he defended the right of a country to deport every single person there illegally. This is Obama during his first term.
Ultimately, our nation, like all nations, has the right and obligation to control its borders and set laws for residency and citizenship. And no matter how decent they are, no matter their reasons, the 11 million who broke these laws should be held accountable.
Seems quite simple, Army, but these days, if you make that same argument, you'll be labelled a white supremacist or fascist.
Yeah, well, you and I are people of color, and I guess we're also white supremacists somehow. I don't know how that works. Let me read you a quote, if you may indulge me for a moment. This is from Obama's DHS policy memo. The plan is to deter illegal border crossings and remove unauthorized immigrants before they come integrated into U.S. communities. That could have been written by the Trump administration, and he would have been vilified for something like that, okay? I don't know where Obama, look, I wasn't a big fan of Obama then, but he was right on this issue. Look, President Obama, he deported 3 million illegal immigrants, okay? It was why he got the name the deporter in chief. The Trump administration in the first term only deported 1 million, okay? Trump is Bush League compared to what Obama did during his time in office, okay? This is where we're at on this thing. But the goal is more immigrants, right? This is what it is. They want more illegal immigration. That's not it's not a bug. That's the feature of what they're trying to do. And the reason, and by the way, it is one of the, I will tell you this, it is one of the great colossal demographic mistakes that the Democrats have done. I've said this before on this show, is that they've made a huge miscalculation because when Hispanics in particular come to this country, they vote, first generation Hispanics vote 60 to 75% for the Democrats because they're focused on issues like immigration and healthcare on the border, right? Those things and welfare benefits. Those are the things the first generation immigrants care about. But what do we see? As time goes on, the Hispanic vote has moved Republican. And to the point where it goes from 60, 75% Democrat to Trump won the Latin vote in the last election. So they're making a massive miscalculation on this. Okay, aside from the moral issues that we have of people breaking our laws and coming in, which they shouldn't do and they should be deported, they're simply making a mistake, and I'm here for it.
Now let's move on to some other issues. President Trump has renewed his threats to attack Iran, saying time is running out for the Iranian regime to make a deal on nuclear weapons. But the Islamic Republic has hit back with its own threats, claiming Iran's response will be immediate and unprecedented, and that the regime would target Israel and all supporters of the aggressors. Army, the Iranian regime is good at making threats, but the only unprecedented attacks we've seen recently has been against their own peoples. Tens of thousands have been slaughtered.
Yeah, sorry, color me skeptical whenever I hear the Iranian regime talk about unprecedented attacks. We're going to make you pay, Israel, United States. Yeah, I've heard this story before, and it really hasn't come to pass. So I'm not particularly worried about the response they're going to have towards Israel and the United States. But I am particularly worried as what they will do to their own people. Look, they've learned from the playbook of the Assad regime. There is no limit to the villainy of what they're willing to do to their own people. The Assads had killed hundreds of thousands of people. We're getting, by the way, the latest numbers are incredible. They're talking about 30,000 people have been killed just in recent days, never mind the totality of how many people murdered. I would not be shocked if the number at the end of the day is hitting 100,000 or more. There is no limit to the amount of bloodshed they're willing to entertain to stay in power, unfortunately. But the alternative of if we're able to flip this regime, and I think we're closer than we ever have been, there have been 6 major uprisings in the last 25 years against this regime, and the prior 20 years there were 0. So we're definitely moving in the direction of the people saying we're just done. This compact that we had between the regime and us is over. These are not Arabs. They are Persian, and their view of the world and the West and the United States is far different than the Arab world. They are pro-Western. They are actually many times pro-Israel, pro-Semitic. And I think if we're able to flip this regime, that's a cost we should be willing to pay, because we're going to move from one of the most implacable enemies the West has to a great Western ally, an ally they're going to become. And we know this because we have history with this. Okay, the Iranian regime shared military and intelligence with the United States and Israel and Europe. And that's what we can do. We can now move from being one of the worst enemies we have in the region to being a bulwark of democracy and of Western support. So the cost, I think, is worth it. I'm not saying we should have boots in the ground. We shouldn't. But there are very limited options. And I would not be in I don't want to be in the president's boots because he doesn't have a lot of options for them. But I think taking action is better than taking no action, because the positive results are really immeasurable.
Now, Ami, before you go, it was Holocaust Remembrance Day early this week, and You've been on the streets of Paris speaking to young folk after a study showed disturbing numbers of Europeans are ignorant about the Holocaust.
Holocaust, I don't know.
The Shoah? Ring a bell at all?
No, not really.
The Shoah?
Tu sais ce que c'est l'Holocauste? La Shoah?
Non.
Non?
Non du tout.
Non?
Non.
Non.
I don't know.
Army, is this a failure of the education system, a failure of parenting, the culture? Why have only 50% of young Parisians heard of the Holocaust?
Yes, and more. Super disturbing. Yeah, I made this video because I heard about this study and I wanted to see if it was actually true and to bring that study to life. So I went there and asked these questions myself. It is deeply disturbing the lack of knowledge they have of the Holocaust. It was under 50% knew what it was at all, and almost no one knew that 6 million Jews were killed. Like I think one person of all the people I spoke to came across that. Even more disturbing, where there were a few people I came across who knew what it was and refused to go on camera because they said, we don't want to make Jews seem like victims. And that plays into it also. The idea, it goes against their narrative of Jews as victims when they're trying to demonize Jews in Israel. They don't want to learn about it. They don't want this to be a topic of conversation because that's not the narrative they're trying to push through. It's actually quite disturbing. And furthermore, I have to say something else, that what the Democrats are doing by comparing the Nazis to federal agents is denuding the power of the Holocaust, okay? It's also trivializing the Holocaust. This is one of the reasons why it's a problem, because people are like, look, how bad can the Nazis be? They're being compared to federal agents, okay? All of this is a confluence of things coming together for us to forget that 6 million Jews were put in ovens not long ago at all. Not long ago at all.
Army Horowitz, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Always a pleasure.
Welcome back. Superstar rapper Nicki Minaj has appeared on stage alongside Donald Trump at a US Treasury Department event, declaring she's the president's #1 fan, and the haters just make her even more proud to be MAGA. Here she is.
I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more. And it's going to motivate all of us to support him more. We're not going to let them get away with bullying him and, the smear campaigns. It's not going to work, okay? He has a lot of force behind him, and God is protecting him.
And I didn't think we'd be getting a Trump-Minaj collaboration in 2026, but we live in extraordinary times.
This one is for the Dems and the liberals, infected-minded individuals. Got the cure for you, a bunch of sick souls. Daddy, y'all will take your problems and he fixed those. And I bet you gon' feel better with the mega cap on. Ain't on your fault that you get your facts wrong. We gon' be here making it great. No, it's ever too late if you wanna jump on.
Joining me now is royal and celebrity commentator Kinsey Schofield. Kinsey, what are your thoughts?
I mean, that's a lot. I love that collab. Thanks for throwing that in there. This was a big deal, though. Nicki Minaj pledged to donate between $150,000 and $300,000 to fund Trump accounts, a federal investment program for babies born between 2025 and 2028. She was nervous, but that was Nicki unscripted. That was her freestyling on that podium. Can we throw it back to Cardi B on the campaign trail for Kamala by comparison?
1 second, guys. 1 second. I too have been the underdog. I've been underestimated. My success belittled and discredited. Let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something.
Cardi confused. Cardi as prepared as Kamala ever was. I think politicians take a big risk bringing entertainers out, but this was an uplifting and positive press conference for Trump and Nicki Minaj.
Now, multiple Hollywood A-listers managed by the Creative Arts Agency have been caught parroting very similar lines, and credit here to Paul Joseph Watson for putting this together.
You know, things are getting serious when all the actors start reading from the same script.
I could not be prouder to be American right now. I've never been more proud to be an American by the way the Americans are acting, seeing people and communities come together. And I could not be sadder to be American right now. And I've never been more ashamed to be an American with the way the government is behaving, to see what our government is doing.
Completely identical. Both managed by the Creative Artists Agency, by the way. The CAA, one of the most powerful and influential in the entertainment industry. Natasha Lyonne, also managed by the CAA.
So I'm wearing this ice out pin here.
Here's Olivia Wilde, CAA.
This country is hurting, and I'm appalled. I'm sickened.
Ariana Grande, who simultaneously started amplifying the same rhetoric. CAA. Mark Ruffalo, CAA.
And what I'm seeing here happening is not America.
It's almost like a script went out.
Kinsey, it is very curious, isn't it? And I've got to say, I did notice this new line about, I'm very proud to be American. I'm proud of the protesters that were aligning being American with being one of these unhinged activists out in Minneapolis. And they all started doing it at a very similar time, Kinsey.
It's so true. And fame is not a credential. Influence isn't the same thing as expertise. Just because someone is famous or has a massive following doesn't mean they're qualified to weigh in on complex, polarizing political issues. You can fart on the internet and get 1 million followers. That doesn't make you a political authority. So I think a lot of us would like to hear a lot less from these people, scripted or not.
That's a good point. Now, Insider has spoken out about allegations that Brooklyn Beckham's wife, Nicola Peltz, receives a $1 million monthly allowance from her billionaire father. Telling Page Six the rumours are completely false. Kinsey, that seems quite low if you ask me. I expect a billionaire father should be getting considerably more per month, maybe 2 or 3 million, yes?
Right. Well, they recently posted photos of themselves with the world's most expensive dessert wine, a $24,000 bottle. We've seen the couple enjoying a $5,000 bottle, a $300 bottle of red wine. It's funny that they only want to humble brag sometimes. She doesn't like the heat she's getting because of Brooklyn's verbal vomit, his social media breakdown. So all of a sudden she's going to play humble and pretend like she's not this spoiled little rich girl. I'm not buying it. I'm sure her allowance is unbelievable. I'm sure she's clearly a very blessed young woman.
Very blessed. Now, Kelly Osbourne, daughter of the late Ozzy Osbourne, has worried fans with a video she posted online. She seems so incredibly underweight, Kinsey. Do we know if she is okay? Has she addressed the concerns fans have had about how she's looking these days?
She does address it, and she's pretty emotional about it. Now, she says her weight loss is not related to Ozempic. Now, her mother has said, Sharon Osbourne has said, yes, I took Ozempic, I stopped Ozempic, and I still can't gain any weight. But Kelly says it was lifestyle changes after pregnancy, cutting sugar and carbs, and the result of the grief of losing her father, Ozzy Osbourne. She's praised the drug Ozempic before, but she says she didn't personally use it. But that really has been the feedback in her comment section, is people asking her if she's gone overboard on Hollywood's favorite poke.
Now, Kim Kardashian has finally revealed why she and her mum, Kris Jenner, deleted all their photos of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry at Chris's 70th birthday party. Remember, those photos appeared on social media, then they were gone. She says the reason is completely innocent.
We were told that it was totally cool to post, and then after it was posted, I think they realized it was Remembrance Day. And they didn't want to be seen at a party, even though it's already up.
Kinsey, I think that's precisely what we said at the time. I don't see what the revelation is here. And I don't think it is completely innocent. It's brand management and it's spin doctoring.
The revelation is that Kim Kardashian, with a smile on her face, is accusing the Sussexes of lying, because the Sussexes came out at the time and said, we didn't give them permission. We didn't. We did not give them permission to post our photos. Actually, yes, you and I did report it correctly at the time because you and I got the inside scoop. But Sussex sources were saying at the time that Harry and Meghan did not sign off on their images being shared by the Kardashian family, and the Kardashians in some way violated their rights or privacy by sharing those photos. And so Kim Kardashian, with a grin across her face, is saying, actually, that's not what went down. You were caught partying when the rest of your family was mourning the war dead, and you had some second, some second thoughts, some regrets.
That is brilliant from her. That is cold from Kim Kardashian, the way she did that. She's not going to get any more of those free jars of jam from Meghan after that. They're going to be fuming. And talking about Meghan, she's reportedly bracing for her first visit to the UK in 4 years in July, where she's going to attend a one-year countdown event for the 2027 Invictus Games with her husband, Prince Harry. Kinsey, I'm sure the horrors of this trip are going to give her material for maybe 1 or 2 more Netflix series. I mean, this is going to be fantastic. She only needs to be booed once and we'll never hear the end of it.
Or we wouldn't. No, perpetual victim. You're absolutely right. I'm still under the impression that come hell or high water, this woman will not return to the UK. I think she's so fearful of being booed. I think she truly does loathe the United Kingdom, despite the fact that they've given her the platform she has today to sell wickless candles and, loose fruit spread. So, yeah, she is expected to be there for the countdown to Invictus. But I truly would be surprised if she got on a plane. I think she will come up with any excuse in the world to avoid this trip, because I just simply think that she does not invest in her husband the same way he invests in her.
It's not going to be a very good look, though, Kinsey, if she misses another event that's very important to Harry. And we know the Invictus Games is very close to his heart. He founded it. It's possibly the thing professionally that he's done that he's most proud of.
You know what? She also missed her father losing a limb. So, I feel like she's done worse.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I could she go lower? The answer is yes, I believe she could.